For Corvette Racing, the wins are legendary. But that's never been the whole story. It's about pride, purpose, that unmistakable roar that brings people to their feet. Year after year, race after race, this team has brought people together. A legacy that has kept growing, fueled by passion and the people who have carried it forward. Because whether it's an ocean away at Le Mans, or right here in the Sunshine State, from the high banks of Daytona to the grueling endurance of Sebring, or just maybe out in the Panhandle, in a little town called Mariana, where that legacy of champions lives on.
I remember one time driving it to work and the highway patrol passed me the other way. I know he was checking my tag.
Or maybe he just wanted to see the car.
You know, when we look at the categories for the Hall of Fame, I think the enthusiast category may very well be the most important.
I was at Texas A&M, and I was majoring in forestry. And I remember standing outside the Forest Science Department, and the C3 Corvette drove by. Can't tell you the color, but the engine noise was just wonderful. And I thought to myself, how wonderful would that be if I could have a car like that?
We had a neighbor just crossing a pond over there, and he had an old 74 in his backyard under a tarp. So I bought it, brought it home. Charlie opened the door, and the bugs ran out of it, and she goes, oh no. And so I would take off engine parts and put a rope across the front porch and spray paint engine parts. And then we had it painted, boom mufflers put on. We picked it up from the paint shop, driving it home, and she said heads were just turning, looking to that car.
When we got home, I looked at Jim and I said, my car.
That's when Jim decided to take the Corvette Lady of Blountstown on a little road trip.
We went to an event at Beach Bend Park in Bowling Green, and they had vendors and everything.
But then that afternoon, Jim took me to the Corvette plant for a tour. And when we finished that tour, I told Jim, I said, Jim, leave me here, shut the door. I found my second home.
Each one of these cars become members of the family and part of your life. And to see really them being born and assembled, I think it's really a pilgrimage that every Corvette enthusiast should take.
You stand there and just in awe. I mean, it's such a neat watch to see the different parts come together from different angles. Really something to see the quality in these builds.
From that first 74 across the pond, the stable began to grow. Up next was Big Red in 1990, a local parade favorite. Then Ruby came along and quickly became Charlie's daily driver. And in 1996, their first brand new Corvette, the Silver Bullet. But as their garage filled up, so did their love for speed.
I saw that there was going to be a race in Atlanta, at Road Atlanta. I told her it was a 10-hour race, and she said, well, what are we going to do for 10 hours? And we got up there and watched the race, and it was over. And she said, it can't be over yet.
I think he had to drag me off the track. But what just made it so special was being able to park in the Corvette parking area, meeting brand new friends, and the Corvette race team embraced all of us race fans. And I was hooked right then and there.
The following year, Charlie and Jim went to one of the most legendary venues in all of motorsports, the World Center of Racing. The Rolex 24 had it all. And for Charlie and Jim, meeting Dale Earnhardt at the track was a moment that felt larger than life. But just when they thought it couldn't get any better, 2002 had something special waiting.
When I first put this program together back in the fall of 1996, one of the main elements of the program was, in fact, to engage with the fans. And to do that, you have to create relationships.
The National Corvette Museum and Pratt Miller got together to have an auction to join the race team for the 2002 race. Luckily, we won the bid. We got to put on the pit crew suits And I remember Andy Pilgrim, one of the race car drivers, coming up to me and he said, "Oh, Charley, that fits you so well." And then we won the race, and to be able to go and join the team in the victory lane area, I was just totally hooked by then.
Once the seed was planted, it was harder to keep them away from the track.
Charlie and Jim live in the panhandle of Florida, so obviously they can't get to every event. But anything that was drivable within 12 or 16 hours, they were always there.
When I first met Jim and Charlie, I had just started on Corvette, and they had the 50th anniversary Corvette with the Indy pace car graphics. And they also were dressed head to toe in whatever the latest Corvette swag was. They had the racing jackets, and right away I knew these two represent the ultimate in fandom for Corvettes.
Together as a team, they made you want to be part of what they were doing. I've never met anyone quite like that pair.
They started recognizing us. It became more of a, "Hi, Jim. Hi, Charlie." Then they would ask us to help out in the autograph sessions down at the paddock. You'd see these little kids come up, and they'd be so excited to see the drivers.
David James, he's on the pit crew, and he would let little kids come and get in the race car, and they'd just be overwhelmed, and he'd take pictures of them, and David was so happy too.
As their passion for the brand blossomed at the racetrack, back home it was the garage that was filling out their Corvette story, working their way through every generation of America's sports car, each one deepening their love for the car. One even brought the thrill of the track right to their driveway.
When we schemed up the GT1 Championship Edition to really go after the fans of Corvette Racing, they were front and center in our minds. What car would Jim and Charlie want to have?
That was VIN number 3. It had the GT1 graphics package on it. That was a very rare car, and I think because it was so rare, that just had to be hers.
When Jim found out it was a manual transmission, and Charlie goes, "Okay, for that car, we can get a manual transmission." That was like as excited I've ever seen him in my life. He was like so happy, like he won the lottery.
But as deep as that passion was for the cars themselves, the real joy came from the people, the community that became family. For Charlie and Jim, that was always the best part of the ride.
Jim and Charlie came on a beach caravan. This was in the late 80s. To begin with, we'd just meet at the back of a shopping center in Dothan. Whoever wanted to go, and we'd go to the beach. And it was mostly a party. That's what it was when we got to the beach. And that's how we first met them. And they were trying to decide which club to join, the Dothan Club or the Tallahassee Club. And they ultimately decided to join Circle City Corvettes.
You know, I met Jim and Charlie, and this would be the early 2000s, but I got this request to join their event. You know, I went to my boss, Tom Peters. I said, "Hey, they're asking me to show up for this event. Are you okay with that?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, go ahead. You can go to that." That in itself was kind of unique, and it was great to have that kind of camaraderie with those people.
Then we started doing auctions at the beach caravan. A major auction is for the Corvette Museum, but we do a silent auction for local charities.
Charlie, she would come up to me, you know, she had a little smile and kind of race. She goes, "Do you think we could get some of these posters signed by the rest of the Corvette team? Could you help me with that? Or could you help me with this?"
Kirk Benyon and the styling group would have posters and pictures, and we'd have parts of the race car, all kinds of stuff, just a wide array.
Well, she's just so sweet. And she has such a calm, sweet demeanor that when she asks you to do something, it's like, okay, anything for you, Charlie.
The bidding would be fierce in that you'd have your like 3 or 4 top dogs. I don't care what it costs, I'm gonna walk away with that.
When you look at the level of contributions that they have made to the museum, it's truly extraordinary.
And that connection to the cause is undeniable. But it's their connection to each other that's unforgettable.
I could not do what I do without Jim. We're a team. That's all I can say is we're a team.
All I basically do is drive to the events. and see our friends.
If one of us isn't here, I don't think the other one could do what they're doing. And it has allowed us to do things together and to be together.
There were not two more genuinely passionate people about Corvette, the Corvette brand, and the product. When the news came out that Charlie and Jim were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, my first reaction was, it's about time.
To me, Jim and Charley Robertson are really the template for Corvette enthusiasts to follow, and I think it means a lot that they're being celebrated.
I don't think there's two people more deserving from the category of enthusiasm. As you can see around this home, there is a small museum of a lot of their collections that they've chased in these pictures that they have.
And for some local couple in a small community to get recognized nationally, it's so well deserved, and very happy for Charlie and Jim Robertson.
I hope people will remember that we were dedicated, enthusiastic, and passionate about Corvette and Corvette racing. And I just hope that people continue the tradition of what makes Corvette great.
For turning their passion into purpose and their Corvette journey into something that lifted all of us, we welcome Jim and Charley Robertson into the Corvette Hall of Fame.